welcome back to another Therapist Breaks Down a Scene video. My name is Maria and I am a marriage and family therapist. And today we're going to be breaking down a family breakfast scene from the movie Encanto.
There we go. Everyone, to the table. Let's go, let's go.
Can we just admire the lighting in the scene? Something that animated movies do really well is that they do pay attention to these little things, and it just makes the scene so magical and so gorgeous.
Luisa.
Family.
Alright, first thing to note is the positioning of the family and how they're all seated around the table. One of the very interesting things about people is that the way that we orient ourselves when we sit around places really speaks a lot, or usually, maybe I should say, tells a story about who we are and how we organize ourselves in the world. So the way a family sits around a dinner table is often very telling about this story of the family, the role that each of these family members play, which we will break down and take a look at in just a bit. I used to have a professor who will always say, show me how a family sits around a dinner or a lunch table, and I'll tell you who has the most power in the room. And observing this family, we can kind of see a similar thing. We have this abuela character. Abuela happens to be sitting in the seat that's at the head of the table. And usually every family has someone who is the head of the family. This is generally someone who is leading the family. They usually have a position of power, like a degree of power over everyone else in the family. Traditionally and historically, usually that's the father figure in the family, but I guess in this family, that happens to be the abuela, the grandmother. She is kind of like this matriarch person that has a say over everyone. Now, the distinction here is the way this person shows up differs in healthy families versus unhealthy families. So in healthy families, this is the person that is, kind of like the leader, the person that's making sure that the family's doing well, that everyone's needs are taken care of and met, that there are structures in place so that every single person in the family feels taken care of and well supported. That is in healthy families. We live in a society where the word power holds a lot of stigma, where most of us usually have an allergic reaction to the word power, but that doesn't have to necessarily be the case. Power, when used for good, is a good thing. It's a good thing to have someone who's guiding everyone and kind of making sure the family does well. So in healthy families, this person's role is crucial. It's kind of like any a leader in an organization or any other place. There's a crucial role that they play in the functioning of this entire system. In unhealthy families, unfortunately, that's not the case. In unhealthy families, the family members begin to orient in a way where they're trying to meet the needs of this person. So it has like a little bit of a abuse of power kind of a thing. This person, they are supposed to be taking care of the family, but when things begin to shift and now people are taking care of them, that's usually a sign of dysfunction or unhealthiness within a family system. In this family, I think at this point in the movie, they are at a okay enough degree of health. They actually do a lot of things well. And I think actually I'll take that back. I will say that this family is generally a healthy family because by the end of the movie, they do actually heal and make it to a different place. And so the fact that they're able to work through that and work through the dysfunction and get to a more functional place and evolve and grow in that way actually makes them a healthy family. But, of course, because the movie has to have a plot, there has to be some little weak areas along the way. So I think right now things are healthy, things are going well, but then when this family is under stress, we begin to see some signs of dysfunction, which we will see in a bit. But for now, Abuela is the one that's taking care of this family, and it's interesting how we can see that just from the way she's sitting on the breakfast table. So that is positioning for you.
We are all thankful for Antonio's wonderful new gift.
I told them to warm up your seat.
Thank you, Toñito. I'm sure today we'll find a way to put your blessings to good use.
So this little gesture is a sign of health in the family. Like, you can see that this little kiddo, he wants to do like an extra cute thing for the grandma, for the person who holds power in this family. But it's not done out of a need. It's more of like this is his cute little way of thinking, I want to do something nice for grandma, for the person who is doing all these things for us, and this is how I'm going to do it. So in healthy families, this is usually what it shows up. Although this person is taking care of everyone and is in a role where they're kind of guiding and leading the family, it doesn't mean that they don't get taken care of. Hopefully they have support systems in place to take care of them from the outside world. But also the family in and of itself, when it's healthy and functional, operates in a way where everyone is on everyone's team and everyone is supporting one another. So that's something that we see from this little gesture that Tonito does for grandma.
I'm sure today we'll find a way to put your blessings to good use.
Luisa, Dolores says you're totally freaking out. Any chance you maybe know something about last night with the magic?
You do! Mirabel, if you can't pay attention, I will help you.
Actually,
Casita? As I was saying...
So another thing about positioning, you actually see this often in classroom settings. Usually the person who's sitting closest to the teacher's table is usually the person that, or the teacher feels needs most authority or control over. And so just by that simple gesture of like moving Mirabel from this place to this place, it kind of shows that, okay, this person is a little out of control, so they need to be next to someone who has a little more control so that the system continues to be stable and this family breakfast continues to work the way that it should.
As I was saying, we must never take our miracle for granted. So today, we will work twice as hard.
I will help Luisa.
Stop!
Alright, so research in families has found that family members within a family unit often take on very predictable roles. These are roles that help the family function and help the family keep going as a unit. And as a general rule, in healthy families, the adults in the family tend to take care of the children's needs. Yes, everyone's kind of making sure the unit is operable, but at the end of the day, the children feel like their needs are taken care of and that they are taken care of, and that's usually a sign of health. When it begins to shift, where the children feel the burden of like they have to take care of the family, or that they have to take care of the needs of the adults around them, or that it's on them to make sure that the family stays together as a unit, that there isn't tension between mom and dad, that everyone gets along. Anytime the children begin to feel the burden of having to take care of everyone else's needs, that's when families begin to shift from health to unhealth. So they have identified 4 roles. Different models may have other ones, but these tend to be the ones that most theories and frameworks agree on. So the first role that we'll take a look at is the hero of the family. Now Luisa is like the stereotypical hero child. Hero children are the people who perform, who do things perfectly, who are overachievers and tries to perform perfectly in order to keep the family functioning and together. And that's exactly who Luisa is in this family. And again, in healthy families, this is something that shifts between people. At this point in the movie, it might be healthy, but we're starting to see that it's beginning to become unhealthy. There's this element of pressure that Luisa has begun to feel about making sure that everything is okay and the magic is upright and it keeps going, and that's when it becomes dysfunctional. Obviously in this family, again, I believe this is a healthy family because eventually they get through it and they work things through. But there are families where children get stuck in these roles for forever, for many, many years. You know, you'll have this like oldest child who's literally carrying the burden of the entire family, making sure that the family sticks together and making sure that they hold like the self-esteem of the family with their achievements and performance. So it's a heavy role that these children often carry, and in unhealthy families, unfortunately, it really results in a lot of unhealthy dynamics for this person growing up, from like toxic perfectionism and sometimes even overachievement. These are people that disconnect from their needs and put the needs of other people first. And so in relationships, when they get older, if they have been stuck in this role for a really long time, they tend to always take care of everyone and not take care of themselves, or take care of themselves last. And so they really have a hard time identifying their needs and wants in relationships, and it can be really unhealthy for them. So Luisa, that's the hero child. Let's see the next role.
I will help Luisa.
Stop! First, an announcement. I've spoken to the Guzmans about Mariano's proposal to Isabella. Dolores, do we have a date?
Tonight. He wants 5 babies.
Wonderful. Such a fine young man with our perfect Isabella.
So we have Isabella here, and I think Isabella plays like a combo of a role. In a way, Isabella does carry like some kind of a hero child vibe. There's a lot of perfectionism that she resembles. She's like this perfect child who looks perfect, who is perfect, who basically makes the family look glorious in its perfection. So in a way, Isabella and Luisa are kind of like the flip sides of the same coin, where Luisa is kind of like this achievement, performance version of a hero child, and Isabella is more like the perfect self-esteem, looks great, looks shiny, makes the family look amazing kind of hero child. And that's something that we see happen sometimes in families. You know, the role can be covered by more than one person. Or, you know, if we were to think about a family with only one child, sometimes when that family goes under stress, that child takes on multiple roles. He becomes, or she becomes, the hero child and the scapegoat and the mascot, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But again, this is not like perfect, like each person takes on a role. There's overlap, obviously, and in this specific family, the way that this family operates, like their family story revolves around like heroism and achievement and like being there and serving others. Like that's the metaphor of this family. They are kind of like a giving tree, and so I imagine that also plays a role in how lots of family members compete for this role or want to play this hero in some way. That's what Mirabel is also trying to do, because this is a role that's glorified and that everybody looks up to. So the second role that we find in families is the role of the invisible child. And in this family, because this family is healthy in a way, there isn't someone who fulfills this role, but we can kind of see it in Dolores, and I think we could also see it in Mirabel's mom. An invisible child that is basically invisible. They're usually the good kid, but not good in the hero way. Usually they're good in that they just don't get in the way. They're always lost in something that they're doing of theirs. No one ever saw the wonderful things that they bring to the world and to the table. And so because nobody ever noticed that, and then they have a hard time noticing it in themselves, and they may grow up and carry that with them, and not reach out for the opportunities or for the things that they could reach out to, or they may settle. These are people that tend to settle most. And so if we think about it in the context of this family, the reason why I think she might be most resembling of the invisible child is because all the other grandkids kind of have like their thing that they shine with. Probably the one that's least noticeable. Obviously, then Dolores gets the man of her life, or finally finds a way to get his attention, and becomes a little more celebrated amongst the cousins, because again, this family is healthy. But in unhealthy families, people who are in this role get stuck in it forever, or for many, many years, and it can become very harmful, because many things could happen to them when they're younger that nobody knows about, and also it scars into their adult life when they grow older. So that is the invisible child of the family.
He wants 5 babies.
Wonderful. Such a fine young man with our perfect Isabella will bring a new generation of magical blessings and make both of our families strong.
I love this moment right here where the grandma's like talking about how this is such a good idea for the family, because again, we can see the like, I'm gonna hold on, we can see like the perfectionism that she's holding on to on her face in that little frame.
Will bring a new generation of magical blessings and make both of our families stronger.
Alright, next we have the mascot, and they could also be called the funny one in the family. Usually this tends to be one of the younger people, one of the younger children in the families, if not almost always the youngest. The hero child, that tends to be the oldest, or the older children tend to fall into that role easily. The invisible child, the middle children tend to fall into that role most easily. Those are not like strict rules, but those are just general guidelines. Camilo probably fits this role most in the family. He is definitely the one that is like the comic relief in the family, and that is usually the role of the mascots in the family. They are the person who will attract attention in any way. Sometimes it's for them, but a lot of times it's not for them, it's for the rest of the family. If they are funny, then they get to divert some of the tension away between mom and dad, or between mom and the older daughter, for example. Or if they are acting out, or in whatever capacity attracting attention, they are kind of like the comic relief. They are diffusing tension, and then they're also averting attention away from whatever big explosion that may potentially happen. And it might not always be them, it might be anyone else in the family, where in general, when the system becomes too tense and a sigh of relief needs to happen, sometimes it's the mascots that will bring that to the table. In healthy families, the mascot is usually just this cheerful, bubbly personality kind of person. They're usually just really fun and enjoyable to have around, because they just have a natural reserve of positive energy. So they're usually just really fun to have in a family in general. In unhealthy families, however, that's different. It becomes a role that people stick to. And one of the things that's unfortunate about this role is that often they are the people who get in trouble more often than not, because they end up attracting more attention than usual. People who play the mascot role also tend to disconnect from their needs, but they tend to be very highly attuned to everyone else's needs. They are very perceptive, and they kind of can sense danger from a mile away. They're very hypervigilant. In extreme cases, hypervigilance is not that great of a thing, because when someone's always scanning for safety, they're not really inside themselves. They're not present in the moment and enjoying whatever the moment has to offer them. So that's in extreme cases. But these people tend to kind of know how people work slightly more than anyone else. So there are some good things that can come from these roles, just like there are some, not so pleasant things that can come out of being stuck in these roles for a really long time.
Right. Okay, our community is counting on us. La familia Madrigal!
La familia!
Luisa, hey.
Alright, and the last role that we see come up or develop in families is the role of the scapegoat. And the scapegoat is what people can often call the symptom bearer, or they are the black sheep of the family. So they are the person who the family labels as problematic, and the person who there's something wrong with them. And in this family, that's obviously Mirabel. And that's the case because, logistically speaking, she didn't have a gift like all the other grandkids and all the other children did, but also because of this weird quirkiness to her. She's looking for trouble and trying to fix things, and she's a little clumsy and messy and is trying to fix the magic in some way. And so in this family, she's the one that's most like the scapegoat. She's the most problematic child. And again, in healthy families, this role shifts between people, and also it shifts for the same person. So one person can be struggling at one time, and then they might feel better, and then they're no longer presenting problems or symptoms of problems. In unhealthy families, it becomes a label that is given to people, and it becomes like a permanent thing that they wear, where no matter what happens, it is them. They are the problem in the family. They are the reason why the family is falling apart. And oftentimes that is very problematic because it's unhealthy because of all the scrutiny they attract, but it's probably most harmful, I would say, for the family, because when the family directs all of its attention to one problem person, then they miss out on the opportunity to realize the problems within the system itself. Usually these people are an extension of the problem that the whole system is suffering from, and when the family kind of only hones down and focuses on one person, they forget that, or they miss out on that, and the family, because of that, continues to function in dysfunction for much longer than it should. Similar to the mascot, they tend to be very intelligent as well. Because they are labeled as the bad guy, they usually have nothing to lose, and so because of that, they tend to seek out things that other people may not seek because of the limitations of perception and what people will think of me. And so we see that with Mirabel. She will seek out change for the family and finding a solution where everyone else is scared not to, because everyone else has this picture, this image that they are kind of holding on to and making sure that it stays, whereas Mirabel, has nothing to lose, and so she can do these things. They also tend to be intelligent in that they could see the family problems and the family patterns much more than anyone else. And so these are the people that are often the ones that bring about change within themselves and within families. They are honestly, truly a gift. I have a special place in my heart for the scapegoated children. Usually they're the people that end up in our therapy rooms, by the way. They are the children that get dragged to therapy, and we're told fix. Of course, a systems therapist knows that that's not true. A systems therapist knows that they are just an extension of the problems of an ill system, and so a family therapist would often invite the whole family into therapy and will not treat this person as the problem. So again, the scapegoats tend to offer many gifts to their families if only the family pauses to notice them.
La familia Madrigal!
La familia!
Luisa, hey.
Sorry, what is your problem?
Hey, Luisa, hold on.
And I just love this little part where they recite the family sentence, La familia Madrigal, together. Families often create images or have images of who they think they are. This family probably has a really strong image. They are givers. They are this giving tree to society and to the world that they live inside of. And so to have them or to see them kind of rehearse that is an interesting thing, and also it shows us what it looks like when families are aware of their image. Every family has some kind of an image that they try to keep up and uphold, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. In a healthy family, it is actually a good thing that they offer to society. In unhealthy families, it becomes this incongruent image that people try to keep up when it's not the reality on the inside. And we will see that in this movie. There will be a moment of incongruence where this family was a giving family, always offering for its community, but then when that magic shakes, when that magic goes away and they can no longer give, then what does that say about their family? And we will see the family members trying to uphold that image. The person who does this most is the abuela, the grandma of the family, who will continue to uphold this image at the cost of everyone else, just because it's an image that she is so tied to. We will see that incongruous, and that's what it would look like in unhealthy families. But again, in healthy families, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a thing that families are aware of. Like, this is the role that we have. This is the image that we have. This is the story of our family, and this is what we offer to the world. And it can be a good thing, a positive thing, like it is right now in this moment, where they all kind of energize one another by saying it out loud, and then go out into the world and carry out that mission or execute that mission. It's kind of a fun thing, as it is right now in this family. So that's all for this movie scene. I really love this scene because I think it really illustrates these roles that family members are often given or can take on. When I first learned about this, I found this really insightful because it's true. Like almost every family that I know of, healthy or unhealthy, has some version of these roles playing around. So it gives language to a pretty interesting dynamic, usually an invisible dynamic. And my hope for you, the person watching, if you have played this role for a really long time and you're now in a place where you no longer have to, my hope for you is to begin to realize that and to see that and to give back this role to where it belongs and to reclaim your identity and who you are separate from this role. If you are more of a parent or someone in that power role within the family, my hope for you is to see this as a mirror, something that you could, or maybe a measuring stick, to really accurately assess, how am I doing with my system that I'm responsible over? How is everyone in the family doing? Are these roles shifting within the family, or is there anyone that's burdened by them? And is that a sign for me to do this family differently, or to shift the way I lead this family so that it's a healthier experience for everyone involved? So that's all for this movie scene. I am really curious to hear what you took out of it, what you found helpful from it. So drop that in the comments down below. And until next time, from one human to another, I wish you well.